There's a new cloud hovering over Herman Cain's presidential campaign. A woman named Ginger White told an Atlanta TV station she had a 13-year affair with the Republican candidate and says she has documentation to prove it. Cain immediately denied White's story, but he said she is a friend of his and that he had helped her out financially. Despite Cain's denial, his attorney issued a statement saying the media had no business looking into Cain's private life. Last month, allegations surfaced that Cain had sexually harassed several women while he was head of the National Restaurant Association. For more, we're joined from Washington by Politico's David Mark. David, good morning to you.
Hey, good morning. Good to be with you.
Good to have you. Cain's campaign manager also denied those allegations, saying detractors want to, quote, derail the Cain train. Cain in trouble?
I don't think this looks real good for him right now. Just when the story seemed like it had receded, people were talking about other aspects of the Republican race, whether it was Newt Gingrich on the rise, Mitt Romney having troubles. Now these stories surface again, and these stories are sounding awfully similar to one another. This is what, the fourth or fifth woman who's come forward to make some sort of accusation against Mr. Cain. So I think we're starting to see a certain pattern developing.
And you know, so much effort goes into winning over Iowa's conservative voters. That's a little more than a month away now, those caucuses. How much does that hurt him now?
This is the last thing he wants to be discussing. He again, his campaign seemed like they had kind of put this behind them. They had actually rallied at least some conservative media to their side, saying this was all an effort to smear a conscientious conservative. And it seemed like he had actually moved away from it to a certain degree, but now it raises all those questions, and I think it does nothing but damage.
This latest woman, Ginger White, what do we know about her?
It's not clear precisely what the relationship was between her and Mr. Cain. They seem to have had some kind of professional encounters. She says it was a 13-year relationship with Mr. Cain. That's an awful long time. He, of course, says, as he was just noted, that he helped her out financially at times. I think what's particularly troubling for Mr. Cain in this situation is that she has phone records that she showed the Atlanta television station, and she seems to have talked to him on his cell phone within the last couple months or so, not years ago, but just very recently.
Cain says Ginger White is lying. So let's do a hypothetical here. If it turns out that she's being truthful, is Cain finished?
I think it's awfully tough for him to recover after it. I think he was already on the ropes to begin with, not even just having to do with the sexual harassment allegations, but the rise of the other candidates, questions about his 999 plan, and just basic overall questions about how serious a campaign he really was running. So I think he's kind of going downhill rather than up right now.
Another big story in Washington, longtime Congressman Barney Frank says he is not going to seek a 17th term in the House. What led to that decision?
Actually, Congressman Frank was rather candid, or frank, if you will, about his reasons for not running. He said it was due partly to the tough race he might have. His district is being redrawn like congressional maps are being redrawn around the country. He said he would have to go campaign in territory he hasn't previously represented. He said he didn't really want to do that. He's 71 years old. He's had a lot of accomplishments in Congress. Said he wanted to do other things. So he was actually surprisingly open and candid about the reasons.
So the bigger picture for Democrats trying to win back control of the House in 2012, does this make it more difficult?
It doesn't help things. That district will probably stay Democratic. After all, it is Massachusetts, but it's not a sure thing. It forces the National Democratic Party to pour resources into a race they probably really didn't want to have to focus on. So it's certainly no help to the National Democrats.
Politico's David Mark joining us this morning with some insight. David, as always, thank you so much.
Thank you.